Hi everyone, I just wanted to take you through some key points of this presentation. Again, the idea of living and distinguish, which we discussed at the end of the year, and just connecting it back to that first presentation during the first few days of school. Take some time to go through introductions within either the classroom or table groups, depending on where you're located. Form groups of at least 4 because teachers will be collaborating and discussing for most of the day. I try to incorporate as many timers as possible just to keep track of time and help us keep pace. We have a fun little activity here. And then some resources there. And then just bringing it back. So these are the focus areas for professional development this year: designing coherent instruction, engaging students in learning, and for our ed specialists, designing coherent service delivery and enhancing student outcomes. And these were the reasons why we cited at the beginning of the year. And so we're going to start off by talking about student engagement. And take teachers through just a series of activities, really reflecting on what student engagement looks like in their own classrooms. We take some time to define what engagement is, and then looking at this visual. Now, this visual, they're going to need some time to really process it. There is kind of a lot of information here, but if you look, for example, at yellow, low attention, low commitment results in ritual compliance. And you can kind of see the visual here on the students. And so I think really just having teachers analyze the photo and this information coming from them rather than us just telling them what it's about. So how do we achieve student engagement? Through our instructional design. And so this instructional design infographic was shared at the beginning of the year. And so again, bringing it back, giving them an opportunity to read through it, highlight words and phrases that stand out. Many teachers asked for a hard copy of this at the beginning of the year, and then even through night school as well. And so giving them time to talk about what this looks like in their classroom. And then on the back of that, they'll have a handout and they'll list strategies and tools that they use currently for each of the areas. So they're completing the middle column. And if they click on this link here, it will force them to make a copy. So they could have electronic copy as well. And then they're going to get up and move around, meet with 3 people, and fill out the last column, record what other people use. And hopefully they're getting quite a few ideas that they'll be able to implement in their own classrooms. And then they'll have some time to explore 1 or 2 of the strategies or tools that were mentioned, either by colleagues or on these slides. And so there are links here. They can click, go to the site, and start playing and really figuring out how they can incorporate it. Here are some other great resources just for information, and we'll be coming back to these again later in the presentation. And so then doing a quick share out and then break. And then we're going to focus on behavior. Behavior continues to be a concern K-12, and so we've been trying to incorporate it as much as possible, and really we'll never get to student engagement if we don't have behaviors kind of in order in the classroom. So we're just focusing on one aspect of behavior and what can help prevent behaviors, which is procedures. So we have this, we have some questions. And then there are 2 slides here. So obviously if you're with an elementary group, you're going to present the elementary slide. If not, you can skip it and go to the secondary one. There are different links here. So this first one, this is Sue Ahart, the high school BCBA. And this is 2 co-teachers from the high school, elementary. This is Christy Johnson, elementary BCBA, and 2 sets of elementary examples. And then discussing in the groups. And then they will take some time and read this article and really reflect on what procedures can do in a classroom to promote student engagement. And then actually plan to implement or revise a procedure, either a new procedure or revise a current one. And then we'll have lunch, and we'll start the afternoon by moving beyond who, what, when. This really looks at personalizing for learner preferences. On the right, it's what students might enjoy based on their learner preference and what they might see as a challenge based on their learner preference. And so again, they'll have copies of this as well and the link, but they need to identify 3 that they use frequently, 2 that they would like, that are a challenge for students this year, and then maybe talk about how they can help support those students. And then sharing with the group 2 content-specific instructional strategies to tap into the needs of diverse learning styles. And then we're going to talk about Kane's Arcade. While this is a younger child, I feel like it's a great example of how really motivated, and when motivation and engagement is there, how much learning can take place. And so there's a video and then some questions and then a follow-up video, so part 2, which really kind of takes you to and gives you a short clip on where he is now and what happened as a result of kind of the process that he went through. And then just really discussing how we can create more opportunities like this for students. And then opportunity for them to really take some time and reflect and start applying some of these concepts, strategies, tools to their own content areas. And realizing that it will look different because we'll have teachers from all different content areas, so that's okay. They probably have other resources that they can be pulling in, which is great. Hopefully they're sharing them with others. We'll have a short break, and then we're going to discuss feedback and really providing students with effective feedback. So discussing examples on how feedback is provided in the classroom, whether it's teacher to student, or student to teacher, and what are the ways that they elicit that feedback and provide that feedback. And so there's an article that they will divide among their group. And depending on how many are in that group will really depend, how much they're reading. And they'll read their section and then really come back and kind of it's like a modified jigsaw to 20 minutes to summarize and discuss each piece of the article. But you see here are the elements of effective feedback that are referenced in the article. Goal reference, tangible, transparent, actionable, user-friendly, timely, ongoing, and consistent. And then really taking some time to discuss how you can provide more effective feedback for students with those elements in mind. And then really talking about whether we're looking for feedback. And so as we give more effective feedback to students, are we looking to receive it? And what can we do? What do we or can we do to receive feedback from students and colleagues about instruction? So I think that's a key piece. It's not just student to teacher, but then colleague to colleague, and how are we cultivating that relationship? And then really just talking about kind of what are the struggles. So there are definite positives for asking for feedback from students and colleagues, and what are the negatives or scary aspects. And draft a plan to solicit feedback from your students or colleagues, and timeline for implementation. Google form, maybe it's a question at the end of each lesson, each day, something like that. I don't know. So many different ways to get that feedback. Flipgrid. And then using the remainder of the time to look back at all the resources provided, collaborate with colleagues, plan lessons, activities to implement best practices relating to designing coherent instruction and student engagement. And we're asking that teachers upload at least one of the activities from today or from the day to the folder that is linked here with the last name and the title. And it can, again, be something that they go back, they either create a lesson implementing some of the things for students to try in their own classroom, or something that they're going to be doing to kind of enhance their lesson, incorporating some of those activities, strategies, tools. Maybe it's a feedback form. So it's pretty, it's whatever's going to be most meaningful for them. So you want to kind of pigeonhole them into one example. So I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.